Hello guys, welcome back to our anime moment. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Battle Through the Heavens Part 184 based on novel. So let's start. A thick dust spread across the sky. The surrounding mountains vanished in the blink of an eye. The area within a 10,000-foot radius turned into flat land. Even a large rock did not exist. The enormous heaven-swallowing python shook in the distant sky. It quickly turned into an enchanting figure. With a wave of her sleeve, a wild wind blew and suppressed the sand and dust permeating over air around her. As the sand and dust fell, a black-cloaked skinny figure appeared within Kaylin's and the little fairy doctor's sight. Both ladies heaved a sigh of relief within their hearts when they saw that Xiao Yan was fine. Who? Xiao Yan wiped the cold sweat off his forehead. This was the first time that he had unleashed an angry Buddha lotus flame created from 5 types of flames. Its might had exceeded his expectations. Of course, its exhaustion was also quite frightening. Even with his current strength, his body still felt empty after unleashing this fire lotus. Xiao Yang let out a long sigh from his mouth. He lifted his head, and his eyes swept over the spot where Renhizi had been located earlier. Currently, that spot was completely empty. There was no sign of anyone present. Renhizi's aura had disappeared with his figure. Nothing was left, and he seemed to vanish from this world. Killing an elite 6 change peak Dozun with just one strike. This was the might of the merger of 4 types of heavenly flames and a fake heavenly flame. One could imagine just how frightening Xiao Yang's strength would be if he could truly merge 5 types of heavenly flames. It was likely that even a true elite Bansheng would be turned into nothing by that one strike. Are you alright? Kaylin and the little fairy doctor quickly appeared beside Xiao Yang. They hurriedly inquired when they saw his somewhat pale face. I'm fine. Xiao Yang took out a medicinal pill and stuffed it into his mouth. He shook his head. The exhaustion of an angry Buddha lotus flame soared each time a flame was added. Hence, even though his strength had rose, he still felt it was difficult to use this fire lotus. The frightening activity that was created by Xiao Yang was naturally sensed by Yao Lao's opponents in the distance. That terrifying extermination strength from earlier caused even Yao Lao to feel a palpitation in his heart. The strength that was formed from the merger of heavenly flames was really too terrifying. However, the only one in the world who could perfectly control heavenly flames, which naturally resisted each other, was Xiao Yang, since he practiced the flame mantra and also possessed an extremely powerful spiritual strength. Third brother? Qian Hezi and his brother were stunned by this unexpected situation. They looked around the massive plains below as their bodies involuntarily shuddered. Their eyes were incomparably frightened as they looked at the black-clothed young man in the sky. Even they were unable to create such a frightening destructive force, yet this brat, who seemed to be a peak 8-star Dozun, was able to achieve such a force. This brat is too mysterious. Hezi swallowed a mouthful of saliva as he muttered to himself. Where is third brother? The corner of Qian Hezi's mouth twitched. He quickly recovered and hurriedly swept his eyes around, but he was shocked to discover that he was unable to sense Renhizi's aura. It seems that he has been blasted apart by this brat until nothing remained. Hezi's voice was filled with disbelief. He had never expected Renhizi, whose strength had reached a 6 change peak Dozun, to end up meeting such a fate because of this brat. A shock surged into Qian Hezi's eyes when he heard this. Even if he used all his strength, it was impossible to destroy Renhizi until nothing remained. That brat. Let's quickly leave. A dense fear finally surged into Qian Hezi's heart at this moment. His eyes were afraid as they looked at Xiao Yang in the distance. If Xiao Yang were to throw another one of those damn things over, he was not confident that he could survive such a frightening explosion. He lost the courage to continue battling, and with a low cry, he turned around and fled. Hezi nodded when he heard Qian Hezi's words. Remaining behind at this moment was suicidal. Will you be able to leave? However, an elderly laughter suddenly resounded across the sky when those two were planning to escape amid this chaos. Soon after, a lifelike giant flame hand was once again formed in the sky. after which, it shuttled through air within lightning-like speed as it grabbed at Chen Hizi and his brother. Yao Chen, you should not go overboard. Chen Hizi viciously let out a screech when he saw Yao Lao attacking again. At the same time, both he and Di Hizi hurriedly turned around. Powerful Do Chi erupted from their palms and ruthlessly collided with the enormous flame palm. It doesn't matter if the both of you die. Yao Lao coldly laughed. His attack became even more vicious. With a wave of his sleeve, his large flame hand forcefully shattered all their Do skills and ruthlessly slammed into their bodies. Bang! Chen Hizi and his brother were like cannonballs as they ruthlessly flew after suffering such a heavy attack. They forcefully landed on the ground and formed 2,000-foot wide pits. Chen Hizi's and his brother's faces were ghastly while they stayed in the large pits. A dense blood trace hung on the corner of their mouths. Their clothes had been shattered at this moment. Their eyes became extremely vicious as they stared at Yao Lao's group in the sky, but they did not charge forward. Their bodies moved as they endured their serious injuries and separated, fleeing in two different directions. Yao Lao slammed his foot down after seeing the two flee. His body seemed to teleport as he appeared in front of Di Hizi. He grabbed with his large hand and space itself sealed around Di Hizi's body. The old me will drag you along even if I die. Di Hizi's eyes were blood red and ferocious as they stared at Yao Lao even if his body could not move. The Do Chi in his body became chaotic. This fellow was planning on self-destructing at this moment. Yao Lao was cold and indifferent as he stared at Di Hizi. His palm was as swift as lightning as it smashed into Di Hizi's chest. A destructive force surged into Di Hizi's body like floodwater, and an instant later, it destroyed all of his life force. The chaotic Do Chi within Di Hizi's body swiftly disappeared at this instant and the life within his eyes quickly vanished. He slowly lowered his head. This old ghost, whose immoral reputation was once renowned across the Central Plains, had finally died today. Yao Lao took Di Hizi's storage ring after killing him. He tossed it towards Xiaoyang's group. After which, his eyes were indifferent as they followed the direction Chen Hizi had fled. He informed Xiaoyang's group in a low voice, "Check if the ancient map is inside. I will chase that fellow." Yao Lao's figure vanished the moment his words sounded. His aura chased after Chen Hizi with great speed. Xiaoyang caught the storage ring after watching Yao Lao's figure disappeared. He spread his other hand and another storage ring was revealed. It naturally belonged to Ren Hizi. Di Hizi and Ren Hizi were currently dead, and the spiritual imprints on their storage rings were extremely vulnerable. Xiaoyang swept over the spiritual imprints, and they were removed. After which, his spiritual strength examined the rings, and his brows were knit. "It's not in them?" Kaylin asked after seeing Xiaoyang's knit brows. Perhaps it is with Chen Hizi. He is, after all, the big brother." Xiaoyang shook his head. He immediately clenched his hand, and a flickering golden scroll suddenly appeared in his hand. "What is this?" Kaolin and the little fairy doctor were startled when they saw this somewhat familiar scroll. The King Kong glass body that had been auctioned at the trade fair. It is unexpected that Di Hizi had gotten his hands on it. "It has really benefited us." Xiaoyang held the scroll and involuntarily laughed. This King Kong glass body was a Tien class low-level Do skill. Earlier, Xiaoyang had been interested in it, but he had ultimately not bid for it. He even felt a little regretful afterwards. Unexpectedly, this thing was delivered into his hands. "We did not spend any money, but we ended up obtaining a lot of benefits." The little fairy doctor covered her mouth and softly laughed. These three people had used women as meat cauldrons to train. "They deserve such a fate," Kaylin indifferently remarked. Xiaoyang nodded. These three fellows had done all sorts of evil things in their lives and had ruined an unknown number of ladies. It was retribution for them to end up with such a fate. "I wonder how things are on teacher's side." Xiaoyang lifted his head. His eyes looked in the direction where Yao Lao had disappeared as he wondered. "Relax, given Yao Lao's strength, Chen Hizi will not be able to pull off any tricks," the little fairy doctor replied. Xiaoyang nodded. He was just about to speak when the rushing sound of wind was transmitted from the horizon, and a familiar figure hurried over with lightning-like speed. The familiar figure appeared in front of Xiaoyang and the two ladies within a couple of flashes. That figure was Yao Lao, who had chased after Tian Hezi earlier. Ha ha, it is really enjoyable this time around. Yao Lao loudly laughed. He could not resist the joy within his heart the moment he appeared. These three he-demon ghosts had been enemies with him since a long ago. He had gotten rid of a blotch in his heart by being able to finish them off. Teacher? Xiaoyang smiled and asked. Yes, Yao Lao knew what Xiaoyang was thinking. He immediately smiled and extended his hand as an ancient map fragment appeared in it. It clearly looked like the final map fragment. Xiaoyang heaved a sigh of relief when he saw the ancient map fragment. His hands trembled as he took this ancient map fragment. He had searched for all the map fragments for over a decade in order to gather them all. It was really the case of the heavens not letting those who truly put in effort down. He had gathered all of the map fragments. Purifying demonic lotus flame, you will ultimately be mine. An extreme excitement surged into Xiaoyang's eyes as he looked at the ancient map fragment in his hand. Mountains are a lush green in a desert? I swear this author forgets where they are. Agreed. We can remove the lush green. I have no idea how a storage ring can survive an explosion that can kill Renhezi, but well. I guess it is really well made. Has to be really well made. I've been trying to figure out why Xiaoyang has been ignoring his opponent's storage rings for so long. It's like the author forgets about them. Yao Lao smiled when he saw Xiaoyang's joyous expression. He naturally understood just how much effort Xiaoyang had put into search for these map fragments. Let's go, the activity we created has been too much. It will likely attract the notice of some experts. Although we might not be afraid of them, we will end up attracting some unnecessary trouble if others learned we have the complete ancient map in our hands. Yao Lao's eyes swept around him before he spoke. I? Xiaoyang nodded when he heard this and forcefully suppressed the anxious emotions in his heart. He was aware that unnecessary trouble would not be all they would face if word of this were to spread. It would still be alright if it was only a map fragment, but they possessed the complete ancient map in their hands, causing its temptation to soar. Everyone knew that one would be able to obtain information related to the purifying demonic lotus flame with this map. Regardless of how strong the falling star pavilion was, it would end up in extremely great trouble because of this demon flame. Let's go. Yao Lao did not remain any longer after speaking. With a wave of his hand, he rushed into the distance, and within a couple of flashes, he had vanished across the horizon. Xiaoyang and the two ladies quickly followed behind him. The area gradually became quiet after Xiaoyang's group disappeared into the distance. This kind of silence continued for over 10 minutes before it was suddenly broken by the rushing sound of wind. Over a dozen figures rushed over from the distance. After which, they remained in the mid-air. Their eyes were stunned when they saw the mountain range had turned into flat land. What a frightening destructive force! I wonder who exchanged blows in this place. They actually destroyed this mountain range until nothing remained. Numerous extremely shocked voices could be heard in the sky. A moment later, a sharp-eyed person finally caught sight of a corpse on the ground. Some people quickly rushed down, and an exclamation spread across the land soon after. It is one of the three he-demon ghosts, Dihezi. This old ghost had a peak Dozun strength. Who could kill him? The three he-demon ghosts are usually extremely close. Now that Dihezi has died, the conditions of the other two probably isn't any better. Hiss, these three fellows have committed all sorts of evil deeds and deserve this fate, but I wonder which expert possesses such skill. The three of them can fight with an elite Bansheng if they joined hands. Xiaoyang's group had already disappeared into the distance while these people were feeling extremely shocked because of Dihezi's corpse. The rushing sound of wind appeared 5,000 kilometers away from the location of the big battle earlier. A couple of figures appeared on the top of a mountain. They were surprisingly Xiaoyang's group. No one will be able to chase us here. I have already removed our auras along the way. Even an elite Dosheng would have difficulty chasing us. Yao Lao landed and laughed. Xiaoyang grinned and nodded. Their gains this time around were really too plentiful. These three old ghosts might have done all sorts of evil things, but they did possess a rich stash. Xiaoyang's group had ended up benefiting this time around. Try that ancient map. I am very curious to witness what happens when all of the fragments have been gathered. Yao Lao waved his hand. The space around them suddenly became distorted. With the sealing of this space, they would be able to react in time should anything unexpected occur. Xiaoyang nodded after hearing Yao Lao's words. His finger rubbed his storage ring and a few ancient map fragments flew out. They remained suspended in front of him. An excitement once again surged into Xiaoyang's eyes as he examined these ancient map fragments, which appeared extremely old. He involuntarily rubbed his hands together before he carefully began to put the map fragments together according to the lines. The speed at which Xiaoyang put them together was extremely slow. As time flowed, a complete ancient map gradually appeared in front of Xiaoyang's group. Xiaoyang heaved a sigh of relief in his heart after the final map fragment was reformed. His heated eyes studied the ancient map before he became slightly startled. The complete ancient map did indeed reveal a map of some land, but the lines on it were quite ordinary. There was no exact target or route. At a glance, it was like a picture that had randomly been drawn. This? Xiaoyang's face was startled as he looked at the lines on the map. His heart gradually sank. Could it be that the ancient map, which he had searched for so many years, contained no information? Do not be anxious. This ancient map is extremely old. It is impossible for it to be used to intentionally fool someone. It definitely is a mystery. Yao Lao appeared much calmer as he voiced his thoughts. Xiaoyang let out a long breath. He tried his best to calm himself as his eyes slowly sweep over the ancient map in an attempt to find something different. However, there was nothing suspicious about other than an extremely demonic fire lotus. Try dripping a drop of blood on it. Yao Lao thought for a moment and came up with a suggestion. Xiaoyang hesitated for a moment after hearing his words. He nodded and cut his middle finger. A drop of blood landed on a corner of the ancient map before slowly seeping into it. However, there was no reaction after everyone waited for a moment. There was only a drop of blood on the map. Yao Lao softly sighed when he saw nothing happen. He shook his head and fell silent. Xiaoyang was startled as he continued to examine the ancient map. There was a disappointment that could not be hidden in his eyes. Kaylin by the side also shook her head and felt it was inappropriate to say anything. She was aware of just how much effort Xiaoyang had put in for the purifying demonic lotus flame. They had obtained this complete map after much difficulty, but now found that it did not contain any information. This was naturally quite a big blow to him. Silence reigned between the few of them, causing the atmosphere to fill with pressure and become heavy. The joy from having been victorious earlier had completely scattered. This silence continued for a long time before Xiaoyang finally sighed. He glanced at the ancient map in front of him and shook his head. Since it is useless, what is the point of keeping it? A cluster of heavenly flames suddenly rose in Xiaoyang's palm after his words sounded. This flame swept over the ancient map. Xiaoyang's sudden act shocked Yao Lao. Yao Lao was just about to stop Xiaoyang when his eyes suddenly shrank. He questioned, why can this ancient map not be burned? Xiaoyang and the two ladies hurriedly shifted their eyes to the cluster of flames when they heard Yao Lao's voice. They saw that this ancient map, which appeared as though it would break if it was pulled, did not wilt no matter how Xiaoyang's heavenly flame burned it. Moreover, it did not show any signs of being incinerated. Increase the strength of the flame. Yao Lao's eyes focused on the unaffected ancient map. He suddenly commanded in a deep voice. Xiaoyang's heavenly flame was formed from the merger of 4 heavenly flames. Its strength could burn mountains and boil seas, yet it was unable to burn an ancient map. There was definitely something amiss. Xiaoyang was startled when he heard command, but he hurriedly urged his heavenly flame on. The flame fiercely burned. Its high temperature caused the space around them to distort, yet no matter how Xiaoyang strengthened the flame, the ancient map did not show any signs of turning into ashes. However, as the intensity of the flame increased, the lines on the map had slowly become brighter. They appeared as though they were intending to break free from the map. Joy was revealed in everyone's eyes when they saw the lines. Xiaoyang continued to strengthen the flame without any urging, and the heavenly flame in his body was forced to its limit. As the flame burned with increasing intensity, the lines on the ancient map became brighter. At a certain moment, the ancient map suddenly shook. Many lines leaped from the ancient map and turned into ancient characters that floated in the air in front of everyone. 2 moons appear at once to fill the sky. 9 planets form at grand array on high. The all-engulfing tide gives birth. Demonic flame descends again to earth. Yao Lao slowly read these ancient characters as a shock gradually surged over his face. What does this mean? Xiaoyang frowned. He didn't understand the meaning of the characters. Yao Lao softly exhaled. He said, 2 moons appearing together and 9 stars aligning is referring to a special natural phenomenon. However, this occurrence only appears once every 1,000 years. A world tide appearing refers to the unusual phenomenon that will be created because of this scene. You should also understand the final sentence. The day when the world tide appears is the day that the purifying demonic lotus flame appears in the world. Xiaoyang was stunned. He immediately asked, it will only appear once in 1,000 years. Does that not mean that we will not have a chance? If we count the years, 997 years have passed since the last world tide. In other words, there are only 3 years left. Yao Lao shook his head and sighed. He said, it's just as well. The purifying demonic lotus flame is too powerful. Forget about you, even I would not be able to subdue it. If one forcefully tried to subdue it, one would suffer from a backlash. These 3 years will give you sufficient time to increase your strength. In these 3 years, you must reach the Dosheng class. Otherwise, you will only be able to watch the demon flame appear. I have worked hard for many years to only obtain this information. Xiaoyang bitterly laughed. According to what the characters read, the demon flame will appear in the world when the correct time arrived. At that time, everyone would have the chance to subdue it. What was the point of finding the ancient map? Yao Lao spread his hands. If one thought about it this way, it was indeed not worthwhile. Xiaoyang helplessly sighed. He glanced at the ancient map that remained in the flame. He extended his hand into the flame to retrieve it, but the moment he made contact with the ancient map, the demon lotus image on it suddenly moved. The demonic lotus appeared as though it was alive as it turned into a glow that shot into the spot between Xiaoyang's brows. This sudden change caused the expression of Yao Lao drastically to change. This unexpected change had occurred too suddenly. Even though Yao Lao was close to Xiaoyang, he was unable to react in time. Hence, he only came to a sudden realization after the light had shot between Xiaoyang's brows. His expression drastically changed. Kaylin and the little fairy doctor reacted after Yao Lao. Their pretty faces turned pale because of their shock. This ancient map was too mysterious. No one knew whether that thing was good or bad. Being the main character involved in the sudden change, Xiaoyang was startled when the unusual light shot between his brows, but he immediately recovered. His eyes were shut as he controlled his spiritual strength and wildly scanned the spot between his brows. As he scanned it, he quickly discovered that there was a cluster of fist-sized light suspended beneath his brows. Xiaoyang was extremely certain that this light cluster was not something that belonged to him. Moreover, he had never sensed the existence of this thing in the past. Clearly, this thing was the mysterious object that had just shot from the ancient map into his brows. Xiaoyang's spirit stared at the white light cluster, but it simply floated there and did not do anything else. However, it was this kind of quietness that caused Xiaoyang to feel a chill within his heart. The unknown was always frightening, especially when it came to such a terrifying object. Additionally, this thing had appeared in his mind. Bastard! Xiaoyang ruthlessly cursed in his heart and inhaled a couple of deep breaths as he tried his best to recover his calmness. Only once he had recovered did he maneuver his spiritual strength to slowly approach the light cluster. The light cluster did not react when Xiaoyang approached. Xiaoyang's spiritual strength came closer. His spiritual strength quietly gathered together as it prepared to launch a fatal attack on this mysterious thing. Xiao Yan came closer. Just when he was about to use his spiritual strength to encircle it, a white light suddenly shot out of the light cluster. It was like a lightning as it shot into Xiao Yang's soul. Xiao Yang's heart was startled when he sensed this unexpected change, but he did not panic. He swiftly maneuvered all of his spiritual strength and formed an extremely powerful shield in front of him. Nevertheless, this weak-looking white glow penetrated through his spiritual defenses without being hindered. It shot into his soul in front of his shocked eyes. Xiao Yang's body suddenly stilled when the white light shot into his soul. A painful expression surfaced on his face. Yao Lao's heart immediately sank when he saw the pain on Xiao Yang's face. His large hand pressed on Xiao Yang's head with lightning-like speed, and his spiritual strength was preparing to forcefully charge into Xiao Yang's body. However, Xiao Yang suddenly opened his eyes and began to pant when Yao Lao's spiritual strength was about to enter his body. What happened? Yao Lao hurriedly halted his actions and asked a question when he saw Xiao Yang open his eyes. I don't know. Xiao Yang inhaled a deep breath of air and shook his head. After which, he pointed at the spot between his brows and said, "It is here. No matter how I try, I am unable to touch it even a little, but it simply remains there without any signs of moving." How old were you when we first met? Yao Lao stared at Xiao Yang before suddenly asking. 15. Xiao Yang was startled. He glanced at Yao Lao with some surprise. Clearly, he did not understand Yao Lao's intentions. Yao Lao sighed in relief only after hearing Xiao Yang's reply. He bitterly laughed. I was afraid that someone had possessed your body. Some ancient experts might be physically dead, but their spirits are left behind. Moreover, if a spirit is powerful enough, it will be able to devour another person's soul and occupy that body. Xiao Yang widened his mouth. He could only bitterly smile and shake his head. What is that thing? Yao Lao's expression was a little grave as he asked. Xiao Yang rubbed his brow. A moment later, he said, I am also unsure. Upon contact with it, I was only able to receive some information. There were 4 words in that information. What are they? Yao Lao asked. Purifying demonic Lotus Saint. Xiao Yang spoke each word with a pause. Purifying demonic Lotus Saint? Yao Lao was slightly startled. He immediately pondered the words as he sat alone on a rock to the side. It appeared as though he had some impression of this name. Xiao Yang, Kalin, and the little fairy doctor exchanged glances when they saw Yao Lao sit down. They quietly waited without making a sound. This wait continued for around 10 minutes or so before Yao Lao finally shook his head. His eyes stared intently at Xiao Yang as he softly said, If I have guessed correctly, this purifying demonic Lotus Saint should be a top expert 10,000 years ago. Moreover, he was once the owner of the purifying demonic Lotus Flame. The owner of the purifying demonic Lotus Flame? Xiao Yang and the 2 girls were startled. This purifying demonic Lotus Saint was actually that powerful. He was able to become the owner of the purifying demonic Lotus Flame. No wonder he would be given such a title. This purifying demonic Lotus Saint was an extremely well-known person 10,000 years ago. I have read a little about him in some ancient books. It is rumored that this person was known as the expert closest to a Do-Di in that era, Yao Lao slowly explained. An expert closest to a Do-Di, Xiao Yang clenched his hand without realizing it. It was unexpected that this purifying demonic Lotus Saint reached such a level. His title was really extraordinary. Could that thing under my brows be left by the purifying demonic Lotus Saint? Xiao Yang asked. It is likely the case. This ancient map is likely something that the purifying demonic Lotus Saint left behind. Yao Lao nodded. He looked at Xiao Yang's somewhat uncertain expression and bitterly laughed. I also really don't understand what has happened. However, based on the record that I have read in the ancient books, this purifying demonic Lotus Saint might be a little heretical, but he can be considered quite upright. It is likely that he will not use some overly shameless methods. That thing under your brow will likely not pose much of a threat to you. Xiaoyang involuntarily rolled his eyes. This reasoning was a little too forced, but he did not have another answer at this moment. All he could do was hope for the best and pray that this thing would not bring him any trouble. I think that this thing hidden within the ancient map will be related to the purifying demonic lotus flame. Ha ha, this might be the benefit of collecting the ancient map, Yao Lao laughed. At this moment, all he could do was comfort Xiaoyang. Xiaoyang helplessly shook his head. Since the situation had developed like this, it was pointless for him to be dispirited. All he could do now was to believe that the situation was just as Yao Lao had described. This thing was a benefit from completing the ancient map. However, the only thing that caused Xiaoyang to relax was that he did not sense any danger from the cluster of light. His spirit had reached such strength that he would ultimately feel something if he faced any danger. However, Xiaoyang did not sense anything from the mysterious light cluster that caused him to feel a danger. Let's just quietly wait and observe this thing. Yao Lao patted Xiaoyang's shoulder. His expression was a little serious as he said, "Now, you should be thinking of how you can raise your strength to the Doshan class within these 3 years. I need not say anything more regarding the strength of the purifying demonic lotus flame. Honestly speaking, if the current me met the purifying demonic lotus flame, there would only be one fate that awaited me. I would turn into its fire slave." The corner of Xiaoyang's mouth slightly twitched. He naturally understood what a fire slave was. It was the slave of a flame. The slave's mind was controlled by a heavenly flame, but only some extremely powerful heavenly flames possessed such an ability. Even the 3000 burning flame did not possess such an ability. Based on Xiaoyang's guess, it was likely that only those heavenly flames ranked in the top 3 could make a fire slave. In the past, I was worried about how you would handle the purifying demonic lotus flame if you were to find it. Fortunately, there is a little more time than I expected, Yao Lao smiled. He continued, "You are currently at the peak of an 8-star Dozan. There is still an incredible distance to a true Doshan. Even if your training speed is fast, it will be extremely difficult to reach the Doshan class within 3 years. If you do not reach the Doshan class, I will not allow you to go even if the purifying demonic lotus flame really appears, because you are only going to attempt suicide." Xiaoyang bitterly smiled. He had not expected Yao Lao to be this afraid of the purifying demonic lotus flame. In that case, the only solution is to get Xiaoyang to reach the Doshan class within 3 years, right? Kaylin opened her mouth and asked. "I?" Yao Lao slightly nodded. His eyes landed on Xiaoyang as he said, "The chances of success are extremely low. Fortunately, you seem to be quite lucky." Xiaoyang was startled. He suddenly recovered. "Teacher is saying, the Bodhisattva ancient tree?" "I?" Yao Lao nodded. He smiled and said, "Unless you are able to obtain the Bodhisattva heart, it is basically impossible for you to reach the Doshan class within 3 years. Bodhisattva heart." Xiaoyang smacked his mouth. He bitterly laughed, "This will not be easy either. The location of the Bodhisattva ancient tree is within the ancient wasteland region. It is a forbidden ground for humans. Moreover, the ancient region is huge. How can it be so easy to find the Bodhisattva ancient tree? If it was easy, would you even have the chance to go?" Yao Lao smiled and chided him. He said, "You possess a Bodhisattva seed in your hand. Although its purity is quite low, it should enable you to sense the Bodhisattva ancient tree. This is your advantage, and this is your only path if you really wish to subdue the purifying demonic lotus flame. Hence, you must obtain this Bodhisattva heart." Xiaoyang sighed. He could only nod his head. It seemed that he needed to head to the ancient wasteland region this time around. If he relied on his normal training speed, he would not be able to reach the Doshan class within 3 years. "Let's go. We will return to the Falling Star Pavilion and properly plan. If the news is real, the Central Plains will become bedlam because of the Bodhisattva ancient tree. At that time, the ancient wasteland region will really become lively." Yao Lao stood up and faintly said, "Whether you will be able to reach the Doshan class within 3 years, will rely on the Bodhisattva ancient tree." This video will end here.